Good evening, young Padawans and Padawans. It is I, the Redneck JT, with you once again on your Monday night. Why, you ask? Well, two Ewoks in the Park is here tonight, the Redneck and the Geek, to review Season 24, or Chapter 24, sorry, of Mandalorian. Shut up. Do us a favor, grab your favorite adult beverage or whatever it is you want to drink, some popcorn or some jujubes or whatever. Come on in, sit back, relax, and enjoy this show. Sully, it's all yours.
Well, I don't know. After that screw up.
Right? Well, that's why it's all yours.
Where's that clip that? Hello, everybody, and welcome to Two Ewoks in the Park, not Avenger Pretenders. Avenger Pretenders will be back when Loki decides to air, which will be later this year, which will be awesome. And, of course, this is our last episode of Two Ewoks in the Park until Ahsoka comes out in August. So, yay, we get a little bit of a break. Not too much, a little bit. But, yeah.
He's happy about that.
We are. And this is the final episode of The Mandalorian, Season 3, Chapter, was it 24?
Chapter 24.
Chapter 24. And boy, was it interesting, to say the least.
Mm-mm.
It was very interesting. Clearly, we, had a lot going on at the end of the last episode. We saw Moff Gideon's return. We saw the Mandalorians under fire. We saw Grogu in a wonderful robotic suit. And let me tell you.
IG-12.
IG-12, yeah. Let me tell you. I was impressed.
I tell you, and I've got to say this. I've been saying it the entire season this season, and if you don't agree with me, I really don't give a flying doodle. But, well, and that wasn't to you, because I know you pretty much do agree with me on this. Of the 3 seasons of Mandalorian, don't get me wrong, all of them were great. But if I had to put them in order of greatness, Season 3 would be number 1.
Really?
Season 3 would be number 1. There was a lot of information that we gained from Season 1.
Sure.
We learned a lot of stuff, saw a lot of cool action and everything in Season 2. Mm-hmm. But this season has been chocked full of information from freaking opening scene.
Yes, that is true.
And, I mean, they were just throwing it out in frickin' shovelfuls every episode. The action started hot and got freaking hotter. And then they were nice and they gave us, remember the one episode that we called the slow episode? I think it was episode 5.
Yeah, the slow one.
We called it the slow episode, and it was still fast as hell. Had a lot of action in it. So they gave us a little bit of a break. And then 6, 7, and 8 hit, and it just went off the frickin' scales, especially in chapter 23 and chapter 24.
Very true.
Just unbelievable from the beginning. This is definitely my overall favorite right now of the 3 seasons of Mandalorian.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
I mean, with the other 2 seasons. Yep. I was excited to see the next episode, but I had no problem with finding things to do in order to keep myself occupied until Saturday or Sunday when Kay and I would watch it.
Sure.
Starting with with episode 4. I did episode 4 on Friday.
Yes.
Did episode 5 on Thursday. Did episode 6 on Wednesday. What does that tell you? I couldn't find enough stuff to occupy myself, even with having to do my painting. Yeah, I still wanted to see them.
And the thing with that is, with the way social media is these days, people are taking scenes and posting it either on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube, and you have to avoid it because you're like, no, I don't want to see that. I haven't watched the episode yet.
If you don't watch it that morning, you have to watch out for spoilers for the entire day for the rest of the time until you actually go to watch the episode. Want to say hi to Nakaya. She's in the chat room with us. She says, I would agree with JT. This season was the best. I love the background stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the overall thing with The Mandalorian, and this is, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, where people they've been complaining about the story. And the one thing you have to realize, and this is for the people who automatically jump down people's throats, they troll, they don't understand, they say they understand Star Wars, but they don't understand Star Wars. These are not the true fans of Star Wars. And I'm not singling out any one person when it comes to this, because there are many when it comes to this. If you truly understood Star Wars, you would know that the Star Wars galaxy is not all rainbows and cupcakes and sunshine and Jedi and Sith. It's everything else.
Yep.
Too. And I've said this numerous times, which, don't get me wrong, I love the Jedi stuff. I do. I love the Jedi. I love the Force. I love all of that. But I love seeing the Mandalorians. I love seeing Grogu. I love seeing other planetary systems other than Tatooine, other than Coruscant, other than Endor.
Because up to now it's like, there's only 3 or 4, maybe 5 planets in the whole, Star Wars universe.
Right.
When in reality, there's hundreds.
And thousands of planets and moons.
And through Andor and through Boba Fett and through Obi-Wan and all that, we started to learn, for those of us that weren't really introduced to them.
Right.
We started to learn about all these other planets.
And unlike me, who I've watched all of this.
Right.
I've seen other planetary systems like in the Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels. I've seen all of that. So I know it exists. I've seen the stuff from the comics. I've seen the stuff from the novels. And man, let me tell you, those novels are absolutely amazing. Amazing. Okay. But there's more to it than just lightsabers and blasters.
Right.
This season of The Mandalorian, they flat out said, was going to be about the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
Not Luke Skywalker showing up.
Right.
Not Ahsoka showing up. However, a lot of tie-ins, a lot of oh shit moments,
right?
A lot of what? A lot of that.
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
And you have to have that.
That's what I loved about it, though, was the things that they exposed.
Sure.
To this, I guess you could call it, subset of the Star Wars universe that we kind of knew about because everybody knew about Boba Fett, and that kind of thing. So we kind of knew about them.
Right.
But we didn't know a lot because they didn't show a lot, especially for people like me that, really didn't know about Bad Batch and all this other stuff, So, I learned a lot.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I've loved about the Mandalorian series from the get-go.
You're becoming a geek.
Was all the new shit that I was learning, all the new stuff that I was finding out about, and even with Boba Fett, finding out all the background stuff. You know me, I'm a background guy.
Yeah, you have to be.
I love to know the background behind these things.
You have to be.
Yeah, especially.
And especially when it comes to this, because everything
Mhm.
from the Phantom Menace to now
Right.
is referenced.
Yeah.
The cloning is referenced, and we'll get into that. But before we do that, I believe Kay wants to come on
Yep, let me get a hold of her.
and give her take on this season of The Mandalorian. So she wants to
Right.
give her rating and what she thought of it. So let's bring her on in here.
All right, she should be
see
on
what
her
we
way.
Don't you just love when you can do like, "Hey, hon, come here."
Well, the door's closed right now, so.
Oh, yes.
I told her, I said, keep an eye on your messenger.
Keep an eye on your text messages, because I'm gonna send you one, and you're gonna just come in the door.
Right, exactly. Now, and you guys got to realize, okay, Kay is not a big Star Wars person, or at least she wasn't.
Now she is.
She'd seen them, especially the original 3.
Yes.
And then she saw the additional 3 with me because I watch them all the time.
Yes.
So she would get exposed here and there and everything else. And then we started doing the sub-series and stuff with Mandalore and, Mandalorian and stuff like that. And that's where, she started watching all these with me. And, like I said last week, she said she is invested in this.
What? Crazy.
Which is for her, it's hard to do. It really is.
It really is. I'll give you
Would
that.
you like to come on camera, dear?
No.
You don't want to come on camera? Okay.
No.
She doesn't
I'm
have
going
to
give
come
you
on
this
camera. We can
headphone,
hear
though,
her.
so that you can
Yes.
hear.
Well, really? I want to hear Sully?
Well, you kind of have to. I mean, I am.
No.
Sure.
Hazardous job. I should know better by now, though.
You should by now. So
You would think.
give us your take on so far the entire series of The Mandalorian. What do you think? Not just season 3, but from start to now.
Well, it started out kind of slow,
Okay. Now mind you,
but it's been.
sorry. Now mind you, you're not a huge Star Wars fan.
No.
So,
I saw the very first one, the original, and
Yep.
that's about it.
okay. It's really all you need. It's really all you need.
Very true.
So from there, it started out slow, and then what happened? Especially for you, because you're taking this as somebody who's not a Star Wars fan, and you're outside of our geekness, so to speak.
The first couple seasons, they were okay.
Okay.
They didn't draw me in to the point where I was saying, okay, I want to see the next one right after the one I'd watched was done,
Sure.
But this season almost hooked me right from the very beginning and has been building ever since, because when the new one comes out on Wednesday, since I'm home now,
Mhm.
it's like, okay, how soon can we watch it? How many times do we watch it?
Well,
So
in his case, he
it's-
needs to watch it like 3 or 4 times because he's trying to find all the little stuff that I notice.
Right.
And I told him,
Yeah,
don't
I
bother.
could watch it that many times, but I'm not always available to do that.
Sure.
But we watch it at least twice.
Nice. So have we made a Star Wars fan out of you yet?
I think so.
Woohoo! Our job is
I think
done.
I think the bad part about Star Wars, Sully, is the way they went about it from the first one and backtracking to go to the others.
Yeah.
And that turned me off. But
Okay.
you got to realize when Star Wars came out, I was young.
Well, that's
I
the
was
thing.
young.
That's the thing. The technology wasn't there to do the prequels.
Yeah. But Star Wars was just amazing,
Yeah.
to begin with when it first came out. It was beyond its
Technologically
time then.
advanced. That's how we like to say it. It was technologically advanced for its time. And it really was.
Yeah.
It really was. So overall, what do you give this season as a rating of 1 to 5 Mandalorian helmets compared to season 1 and season 2?
Well, I have to give it a 4.9 because I got to give a leeway for the next season.
Oh,
There's got to be a little bit in there.
Look at that, 4.9. All right, well,
But there's so many ways this next season can go.
there's a lot of ways. Yep, absolutely.
And it's like, okay, which way are they going to go with it? I'm going to be sitting here until they start up again trying to figure that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And who knows, maybe Grogu might learn the Force a little bit more.
Yeah, he was getting pretty good at it.
Yeah, it's not making him pass out anymore.
No. Hey, Lady Death, I saw that.
She's saying hi. She's saying hi. So in the long run, you're giving season 3 a 4.9, giving a little bit of leeway to next season, which is perfectly fine. But overall, it's gotten you from not really liking Star Wars to the full potential that we have, but you're getting there. Like you're now invested in the stories.
Oh yeah. Now there's one series that I'll never really get fully invested in is the Harry Potter. I'll never get into that. I don't mind them, but they don't do anything for me.
Well, the good thing is we're not talking about Harry Potter.
Thank goodness.
As one comedian once said, Harry Potter is Star Wars with wands.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, he goes into it. It's wonderful. Look it up. Well, Kay, thank you for adding to this. Because
no problem.
we want the we want to have that person outside of our geekdom to comment and be a part of it too. You know, whether you like Star Wars or not. Like Big Tank will not watch Monday nights because he's not watching The Mandalorian. I don't know why. I've tried.
Big Tank is just hopeless. Haven't you learned that already?
Oh, I already know that.
I figured that out a long time ago.
Long time ago. For me, it's more than 20 years. It's just another day with him, and it's okay.
This brings back some memories, dear. Except we couldn't see him then.
Things were better then.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Although I like seeing the reactions now.
The nose slam into the microphone and the sneeze.
Yeah.
It's
I
coming.
could imagine all that we would have seen if we'd had video back then.
Right. Good thing I was
I
recording.
should come in here on a Tuesday night for a Sully show.
We screw up a lot. It's wonderful.
Not you.
No, mostly JT.
No. Don't go there. We know the Sully effect, so you can't pass that one off.
I mean, it's true. Most of it.
Try those, Sully.
Well, thank you for being with us, Kay. It is now time for us to break down the next episode and give our ratings.
Yeah, and JT just looked up when the next season starts. I'm mad.
Yeah, not for a while.
Sometime in 2024.
Yes. Because you got to remember, they just finished filming Ahsoka, so now they're working on that to get that ready, and then they'll start filming The Mandalorian Season 4. So, not to mention they've got new movies in development too, which they're going to be using that stage quite a lot.
Oh, well, as much money as they got into it, they should.
I mean, you know, more Star Wars, more entertainment for us. It's wonderful. It's wonderful, I tell you.
All right.
Wonderful.
You have a good night, Sully.
You too, Kay. Thanks for coming on as always.
Keep him in line for me, okay?
No.
You tell me to keep him in line or him to keep me in line?
Keep him in line.
This is never going to happen.
Listen, I can't even
You
keep
can't even
myself.
find the line.
Of course, Lady Death's in there. She'll give him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And then some.
she's good at that. I learned that a long time ago. Confirmed it when I met her in person.
Dun, dun, dun. All right, Kay. Thanks a bunch.
Thanks for having me. We'll talk to you later.
Later. And there you have it, folks. Kay has gone from not liking Star Wars to getting there.
He's getting there. He's getting there.
So,
which is, a big step.
So let's get down to the nitty gritty here, and let's start talking about Chapter 24, The Return, the final episode of Season 3, directed by Rick Famuyiwa. I can never pronounce his last name. But this was written by Jon Favreau.
Just call him Ricky Fam.
Ricky Fam. Yeah, well, like I said, the episode starts off with right at the final part of the previous episode where they're on the run. They're running through all the caverns for safety. Yay! Grogu's with them and doing whatever. Din Djarin's kidnapped or being held hostage, or what was it? Being brought to the conference interrogation room.
Yes.
You should have just killed them there. I mean, that was...
Well, and we said that in episode 7 when we did the review of episode 7. You should have just killed him there.
You just kill him when you got the chance. Well,
because, I mean, come on, guys. It's the Mandalorian.
Yeah. Well, as they're fleeing and being attacked by these new breed of stormtroopers with Mandalorian armor, Beskar armor, so to speak, helmets, pads, you name it, they're taking shots and still coming, which you don't want. They finally get to the point where they can communicate with Axe Woves and says that Moff Gideon set them up, and Mandalore is they were set up. It was a trap all along, and he's sending their TIE fighters and TIE bombers to go and attack the fleet. You got to get them to safety, so on and so forth. So at this point in time, I will say this. I was still hoping that my theory that Axe Woves was the other spy was going to pan out. Yes, it was the obvious choice, but...
And what did I say? I said it is the obvious choice, but it's a little too obvious.
A little
bit too obvious for my comfort.
Want to say hi to Western Echo, who just chimed in saying, "Greetings, Earthlings." Greetings to you. Well, for one, I realized something when it comes to Mandalorian jetpacks. It holds enough fuel for them to get into the atmosphere.
And they are extremely fuel efficient.
Yes, very fuel efficient.
Extremely, and put out a lot of power.
Yeah.
It's got to be a 180, 200-pound guy,
Yeah, I mean, you would think that, the jetpack would have run out of fuel by then. But no.
You would think.
So...
He got a mid-air refuel. That's what happened.
Oh, that's what... I missed that part.
We didn't see the KC-130 that was flying around, and he stopped by and got a top off.
Cruising by, Well, he says that they need to bring the fight to the ground. Well, Bo-Katan says they need to bring the fight to the ground, get everybody down here, get them out for safety. Western Echo says, obviously, the fuel was diesel fuel. I stand corrected.
Well, it could have been that E85 corn fuel.
Yes. So they continue going through the tunnels, and the Imperial Armored Commandos are still giving chase. They're pinning them down. They're doing what they need to do, and they decide to throw a thermal charger and blow them up. Makes sense. At the same time, Din Djarin is being escorted by the commandos to the corridors to this.
He's being dragged.
Room. Yeah, well, no, he was being escorted first. Then he was being dragged because he decided to try and break out and do what he needs to, and he starts fighting them right then and there. But then they noticed that, these commandos also have flamethrowers. Flamethrowers, yes.
Well, and they've got all the weapons that the Mandalorians have.
Yes. Every single one.
And we've been learning that is that, everything that the Mandalorians have as a weapon, they've got.
And it was interesting because at this point in time, now mind you, he is kicking the living crap out of these 3 commandos. Well, one of them gets a fiber cord around his neck and starts choking him out, but Grogu comes and saves the day and shoots the commandos down.
Well, because he was about to shoot underneath underneath Din Djarin's helmet.
Yes.
And all you heard was, no.
No.
And you watched the gun get crushed. I was like, yeah, a Grogu.
Yep. So clearly, Grogu wasn't with the Mandalorians like we thought. He went after Din Djarin, so good for Grogu. Because now we're seeing that even though Grogu is still very young in his species' eyes, he is still that's my dad.
Right.
No, he's my dad.
That's my man.
He's my buddy. He's the one who's gonna throw a baseball with me later. So Din Djarin tells Grogu, "Thank you. And we need to go after Moff Gideon or this will never end. Are you with me?" Yes. He goes with him. But at the same time, we still have the Mandalorians fighting for their lives, and now we're seeing TIE fighters and interceptors and bombers start leaving the facility, and they start heading up to the fleet. I will say this, the fact that the graphics for these TIE interceptors and TIE bombers, they are amazing compared to what we originally were brought up with.
Yeah,
it's really
the original
cool.
TIE fighters are nothing compared to the interceptor and the bombers.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, no, the interceptors are
they
faster.
launch them.
You got to remember, the interceptors are faster because they're a combination of the TIE fighter and the advanced TIE that Darth Vader flew.
Right.
So they're a lot faster. The bombers are more like tanks, but still easily you can destroy them, no problem. So while that's all happening and the Mandalorians are fleeing to the surface, we see them flying up toward the fleet, which, to be honest, was one of the coolest things to see. All these Mandalorians escaping through the tunnels and going up to meet their brothers and sisters of Mandalore.
No. No, when the group with Bo-Katan took off out of the caves, they were going to a place to hide out to wait for the reinforcements to come down.
Yes, but they had to go
and
up. They were starting to make their way to the surface. They had to go up.
Right. Yeah, they went up and then went over and they landed. One of the survivors said, if we can get to the surface, I know where we can hide.
Yes.
And they got over there. Really nice green, almost pasture-like feeling to the cave they went into.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm like, well, that's kind of different.
And at the same time, Gideon he's in the command center now. And he's receiving reports from the commandos that the interceptors and TIE bombers have launched, which we've already talked about. We've seen them. They're flying up toward the fleet to take the fleet out. And at this point in time, he's looking at a diagram. Like he's tracking Din Djarin. He's tracking him through the facility. And
the crazy thing is it's not, when you look at it, it's not just Din Djarin, because there's a red dot,
right,
and there's a green dot.
Yeah.
So he's got Grogu on track too. So it's like, now how is he doing that? I can understand how he was tracking Din Djarin, because he could put a tracker on him or something, easily.
Sure.
But how does he know that Grogu's there with him?
Yeah. So
that was kind of weird.
So from there, though, obviously Gideon puts on his helmet, which, by the way, his helmet looks freaking awesome.
It does. The only thing I don't like about it is that it almost makes him sound like Darth Vader.
Almost, but it gives that Mandalorian feel to it.
Right.
But I like how it's got the spikes on the sides of the back of the helmet. It looks really cool.
It's a badass helmet, no doubt.
It looks really, really cool. Well, he says he's going to take care of Din Djarin himself and puts his helmet on and walks out. At the same time, Din Djarin and Grogu are walking through the facility, and Din Djarin goes, "Hey, wait a minute. We need help." So they get in touch with R5D4 and says, "Hey, listen, we need to get further into the base. We need to find the location of Gideon's command center. You need to help us out. Hook up and do what you need to do." R5, being the scaredy cat that he is, does it reluctantly, uses the boosters, which, by the way, I didn't know all astromechs had those side boosters. And the only reason why I say that is because we've really only seen R2-D2 with those side boosters.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that R5 had them too, news to me.
I didn't R5 use one of them when Din Djarin and the lady were bickering back and forth about him? Didn't he use one of them to scare off one of the critters or something?
That was in this episode. He scared off one of the
No, not one of the robots. I'm talking about back when Din Djarin bought him. I thought maybe he used one of his little rockets. Maybe not.
I didn't see that part,
but yeah, it's, you know, when he rolled up to the edge of the cliff, I'm like, well, how the hell is he going to get down there?
Right? And then he popped up the boosters. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah, and then they flash to underneath, and here he comes, little boosters out, just flying him nice and smooth down to the end, the platform.
Which now makes me wonder if astromechs had them no matter what.
Possibility.
I really don't know. Really don't know. Obviously, he gets down to the platform, and he's trying to avoid the MSE-6 repair droids. If you don't remember what droids those look like, those are the little black remote control cars. That's really the best way I can refer to them, is they're the little black remote control cars.
They're the ones that Chewbacca scared off in Star Wars when he growled at him.
Yes, absolutely.
But running away.
R5 gets him the schematics of the entire base, including the command center, and they say, all right, let's go. And oh, by the way, Grogu, you need to stay close and you need to keep up. Makes sense. At that same exact time, however, the Mandalorians are getting closer to being attacked by the TIE fighters. And Wolves finally gets past the atmosphere and says, guys, we got to go. Abandon ship. They're coming. And oh boy. He says, send the starfighter down. Let's do this. We need all available troops for reinforcements on the surface. Do what we need to do. Go, go, go. I got this. This whole time I'm saying to myself, okay, clearly he's not a spy. I've been proven wrong. And then I said to myself, wait a minute, if he's telling everybody to abandon ship, what's he doing?
Mm-hmm.
And that was my biggest thing. It was like, okay. He says, I'm going to stay behind and be a diversion. Get out of here. Get to safety. Meet up with the rest.
Get down to the surface and link up.
He takes the fighter and starts firing upon the TIE fighters that are coming up to the atmospheric levels.
And see, I was the same as you, because I was watching his every move.
Right? I'm like,
his every move, you know,
sure.
and I'm like, when he told everybody to, take everybody down to the drop ships, and I'll take care of this up here. I'm like, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna
no
attack
joke.
him from behind or from above or something or what? But then he actually starts fighting.
Right. And
the fighters and bombers that are coming after him.
I thought for sure that was going to be a whole diversion, and he was going to contact Gideon and go, okay, the Mandalorians are on their way to you. Take them out. I thought that's what was going to happen. I really did. And then they threw me a curveball. I was wrong with that theory. I'm okay with that. I will admit that I was wrong with that theory. But again, it was just a theory. Yes, it was the most common one, but it was still a theory. Okay?
Right.
Even Lady Death says that she was expecting him to turn colors. Right? It was the perfect opportunity for him to get the ship back and have Wolves go, oh, by the way, Gideon, I got your ship. Come get it.
Right.
Come get it. Western Echo says that he was happy that that wasn't the case. Listen, I'm happy with it too. It was a great curveball. It was a great curveball.
Yeah.
You know,
I got to change headsets, so just keep rolling.
Okay. Well, he's got to change headsets, so it's all good. So when it comes down to it, I'm glad I was wrong with that, and I'm glad he didn't turn, because this made the next couple of scenes freaking awesome. Okay? So he's using the cannons. He's taking out the TIE fighters as much as he can. As they're getting closer and closer, they're now attacking the ship. Ship's on fire. It's going down. They're doing what they need to do, and he's still piloting the ship. The TIE fighters were not able to destroy it. Okay? Great. He's going to do what he's going to have to do. Well, from there, as you know, he's defending and being the diversion. It's keeping them away from all the other Mandalorians that are now going onto the other ships to get out of to get out of danger. Din Djarin and Grogu in IG-12 finally reach the command center, which is guarded by more commandos and shields. Each section had a shield. It kind of reminded me of the corridor on Naboo that Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi fought Darth Maul on, because they were going through certain sections with this lightsaber scene. This was very similar, but I think this did it better. That's right, I said it. It did it better than the Jedi and Darth Maul. And don't get me wrong, I love that scene. That whole lightsaber fight with the three of them is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So Din Djarin tells R5 lower the barriers on his command so he can go through one by one and take them out. And as he's going through and taking them out, Grogu's just staying behind. He's just staying behind and doing what he needs to do. And as they're deactivating the shields, he's taking out the commandos two at a time, every single section, getting a new weapon every single time too. And the one thing you got to remember about Mandalorians is they're trained in pretty much every single weapon that you can think of, which is phenomenal, by the way. Absolutely phenomenal. When it comes down to it, as he's fighting the guards, those wonderful little droids, one comes up to R5 and decides, hey,
I'll be right back.
Okay, he's going to be right back. Okay, so I'm on my own, folks. I'm on my own. I'm on my own. They get to the what the hell are those droids called now? Damn it. The MSE-6. The MSE-6 droid. Scares one of them away, and all of a sudden it comes back with more of them. And they surround them, and they've got little sirens going on. It reminded me of a freaking remote control police car, to be honest. But R5 scares them all away by using its jetpacks and getting away and electrocuting and doing whatever. So it worked for that. It was a good comedic moment that kind of reminds you of R2-D2 against the battle droids in Revenge of the Sith, which I thought was pretty cool, if you ask me. And they get to the point where once they get through the barriers, R5 opens up the doors and they find clones of Moff Gideon, tanks of clones. One of the clones is fully awake, not, active, but he messes with all the, Grogu has that cute little innocent scare where he, any little kid's looking through a tank or something and something just jumps out and scares them. Poor little guy got scared. I don't blame him. Lady Death says it's very disturbing. It was, but it also ties to what they were trying to do with the Mandalorians, the clones, and the Jedi. And basically trying to replicate what the Kaminoans did on Kamino, where they created the clone army, which was a good army. It was a very good army. They had plenty of brothers and sisters, mostly brothers, to spare. They were all clones. They were all conditioned to do what they needed to do, probably better than the stormtroopers, because let's face it, the stormtroopers always miss. But that's besides the point. Okay, that's besides the point. The fact that he achieved cloning and was doing what he needed to do in order to create these clones made it a little bit more creepier than what it was supposed to be about, So from there, the survivors of Mandalore are now walking through the tunnels and they come across a cave full of plants where life is striving. It's not striving, thriving. Wow, I can't talk.
Thrive. It's only a letter off.
I know, it's only a letter off. But, that's when Koska asks if they live there, and the regular survivors say, they survive by using hideouts and food caches that's scattered throughout Mandalore. But this is life finding a way. Life finding a way.
Mm-hmm.
And they go into the stories of how the indigenous species of Mandalore have been dormant, and other species throughout Mandalore, like those monsters. I forget what they were called from a couple of episodes ago that Din Djarin ran into. Those guys, mm-hmm. they've been below the surface or in the forests of Mandalore, and now they're all over the place because they didn't have people pushing them back. They didn't have that society of Mandalore pushing them into the mountains or into the trees and all of that to hinder their societal growth. Now they're everywhere, and
It was neat what they said, because they were talking about how, they moved from basically subsurface, just under the surface, in order to survive all the attacks.
Yep. And
then as time went on, they started finding a few of these indigenous ones and farmed them.
Yes.
He says, but there's enemy above and there's enemy below.
Yes.
So, we had to find that almost like find a happy medium in between the bad guys and the bad guys in order to make these caves so lush with all the indigenous growth and everything. So that was really cool. I thought that was a really neat thing to stick in there to prove, in a way. And I think that's more of the reason why they did it, was to prove that these people actually were survivors.
Yeah.
These people could have been somebody that was put in place by the Empire to try and sabotage the Mandalore when they came to try and retake the planet. One of the things I thought about after last week's episode was, what about one of the three survivors?
Yeah.
Could one of those have been the other spy? And we still don't know who the other spy is, unless I missed it.
I don't think they're ever going to show it. I think it's going to be more along the lines of the Imperials, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that makes perfect sense.
So you don't think they're going to actually reveal who the spy was then?
No, I don't think so. Only because as we find out more and more, you know, Bo-Katan even said that she's only seen these gardens in dome cities.
Yep, in the manicured gardens of the dome cities.
Up on the surface. So from there, they get a communication from the armorer saying, Lady Kreese. I love that she calls her Lady Kreese.
Yep.
Not Bo-Katan Kreese, Lady Kreese. So she knows she's in charge.
Yep, she is the queen of this world.
Yep.
She is the proper ruler of Mandalore.
Yep. And she says,
I loved it too.
We're
Lady
coming.
Kreese, your reinforcements have arrived.
Your reinforcements have arrived. And without batting an eyelash, Kreese says, put on your helmets and let's go. Up to the surface
Let's
they
take
go.
our planet back, were her exact words.
Yep. Let's take our planet
I
back.
got chills. I got freaking chills when she said that. Seriously.
My favorite, this is by far my favorite scene of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because this shows them coming out of the caverns and meeting up with the ships. And they're flying together. They are flying together. You know, obviously jetpacks down. The other ships are flying above them. More Mandalorians are in drop zone, and they're coming down and they're flying together. And the cool, it's the coolest shot, but the cheesiest shot.
The one where she jumps out?
No, once they all are out and they're all flying,
Dark saber,
and Bo-Katan takes out the dark saber. The first thing I hear is from Christy sitting next to me, going, "Well, that was a Peter Pan moment."
Right. I loved how the armor did it though, because she was up in one of the drop ships, right?
Yep, and
open the doors and everybody drops out, and she just she looked like a freaking Green Bay or an airborne person just. Right out the door.
And the best part is, you know, they all dropped and she just stood there, waited for them to drop, and then dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yep,
you guys are my crew. I'm your commander. Let's do this. And boy, did they do it.
Man, you know, I've said time and time again, this is the best battle scene. This is the best battle scene. This is the best battle. They just kept getting better and better and better.
Better and better. And man, let me tell you, all of a sudden the Imperial commandos are getting sent up into the air, and it's a fight.
It's on like freaking Donkey Kong.
Oh my God. The armorer takes out people. Bo-Katan takes down guys with the dark saber, shoots them in the heads, like the works. Everything is happening. And that's probably my... It's the Clash in the Sky.
Mm-hmm.
Who needs fighter jets when we got Mandalorians?
Jetpacks. One of my favorite scenes from this episode, and quite possibly from the entire series, is coming up.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's oof. So as we're going along, Din Djarin and Grogu and IG-12, they enter the command center, and they're starting to go through what they see on screen. And a second door is opened up. And it's funny because Gideon is pissed that he's killed his Force-sensitive clones way before they could draw their first breath. So obviously a fight ensues. Blasters are going off, ricocheting off the Beskar armor, and Din Djarin charges Gideon by using the jetpack, but Gideon just basically caught him and threw him. And I have a theory on this.
Mm-hmm.
and I know you and I talked about it a little bit, but hear me out once we go through this.
Okay.
While that's happening, even Grogu is kind of still off to the side, but the Praetorian Guards show up and they start attacking Din Djarin. So now it's technically 4-on-1.
Right.
And they're using the Electro Staffs, and Grogu interferes and distracts them and brings them into the room before fighting on this deck. Okay. But obviously Din Djarin's like, no, I gotta go. He wants to go protect them, but him and Gideon are doing what they need to do. Whipcords, flamethrowers, punching, kicking, throwing, shooting, flying, doing what they do. And yeah, it's a mess. Din Djarin's getting his ass kicked.
Yeah, Din Djarin's he's getting pounded.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and I've been waiting for this. I have been waiting for, because we've seen little glimpses of things that Grogu has been able to do.
Yes.
And how smart he is, like breaking up the fight on the ship as they were going towards, being taken to the forge and all that kind of stuff. He's an extremely intelligent creature. He's had a lot of training. We don't know what, though. And so I've been waiting for Grogu to really get involved. And getting IG-12
was so cool.
I think that was the final stitch in the fabric that Grogu needed to really get involved in these things.
Yeah.
Because he sees that Din Djarin is getting his ass kicked by Praetorian Guards and Moff Gideon.
Yes.
So what does he do? He draws, on purpose, the Praetorian Guard to him.
Yes.
Takes them into the other room. Granted, Din Djarin being the dad that he never realized he was, he's like, no. So he goes to try to stop him. Darth Maul shoots him in the back. Imagine that. A bad guy shooting somebody in the back. Never been done before.
Nope.
But then, one of the greatest fight scenes in the world takes place.
Yes.
In that room between Grogu and those 3 Praetorian Guards. Because he was pissing them the fuck off.
Oh, sure.
He was driving them batty.
Yeah.
And the first time we watched it, I was literally sitting going, go, 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 go.
Oh, I think everybody was cheering Grogu on. But at the same time,
hilarious.
While he's up on top of that platform, or after they cut off IG-12's arms, clearly he can't do anything. He's running around, and they're trying to get him still. Bo-Katan basically crashes the party and tells Din Djarin, go save him.
Yeah, she sees Din Djarin and Moff Gideon. I keep wanting to call him Darth Maul. Moff Gideon fighting and comes down, and she freaking side blasts Moff Gideon and knocks him way to hell over. She's like, go.
She says, I got this.
Hey, man, I got you.
I got this. Go save Grogu. Go get him. And he does. He goes running. And that's when the fight between Gideon and Kreese continues.
Mm-hmm.
Something that they've been doing for a long time already.
Yeah.
Only this time.
I still want to call him Darth Maul. I know it's Moff Gideon in my head.
Oh, that's great.
But I keep wanting to call him Darth Maul. I don't know why. But I like what Moff Gideon said. What's it going to be this time, princess? And just the way that he said, princess.
Yeah, princess.
Are you going to fight or are you going to surrender?
And she basically kicks the shit out of him. But But, and this is where things get a little weird. And I'll bring this up after we talk about this. As they're fighting, obviously she draws the Darksaber. They're doing whatever they need to do. Gideon is trying to fight back, pulls out a purple electro staff, just like the Praetorian guards have, and he's using that to fight against her. And while they're fighting, we cut back to Grogu. He's running around. He's keeping them occupied, and Din Djarin comes in and helps him. And at the point...
Well, he got trapped.
He did. He got trapped to the point where some metal poles from the lights and everything that he was on fell on top of him, so he couldn't move. And he cries out in fright. And I'm like, oh, Grogu.
Yeah, and then he's trying to push the pipe off of them.
Yeah.
You know, and everything. It's like, I'm like, oh, man, no, you can't do this. You can't do this, you know.
Yep. But when Din Djarin comes in, this was the coolest thing. He's fighting them, and out of nowhere, you just see Grogu use the Force and push them away to even the odds.
Shoves one guy away, steals the other guy's weapon that he dropped.
Oh, it was great.
And that's what I loved about it was, you know, he was very, very smart and very, very tactical with the things that he did, which you would not expect somebody who is a child, basically. Granted, he's 50 years old, but he's still a child.
Yeah.
For their race. And the tact that he showed, the tactfulness and the military tactics that he showed in this fight, basically through the rest of this entire show, was mind-boggling.
Which means he remembers more than we think.
Yeah, he knows a lot.
He remembers more than we think.
And it gets even better, and that's the cool part.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just love that Grogu was helping getting rid of their weapons and pushing them off and everything.
Yeah, and he even did it to Moff Gideon, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, he did all right. So from there, we go back into the hangar. We hear Rove's radioing Reeves, telling them that he plans to ram the flaming Mandalorian ship into the base. He's still alive. The ship is still coming down, and he's saying, move.
It's on fire like a mother, but it's coming.
At the same time, in the hangar, Gideon is almost at the point where he's about to beat Bo-Katan, and gets to the point, you know, within their verbal attacks to each other, he breaks the Darksaber. He breaks the hilt on the Darksaber.
That was crazy.
And he says, now that it's gone,
you have lost. The Darksaber is destroyed. You have lost everything.
Yep. Which is not true. It's not true.
To him it was.
Well, yes, to him it was. But
yeah, he doesn't know, you know. I honestly believe that he does not know the true feeling of family.
Yes.
You know, whereas, you know, obviously Bo-Katan Kryze does, and Din Djarin does, and, you know, everybody else does, but these guys do not.
Yeah, but the other thing that is mentioned a lot is the way they hold on to things. The Mandalorians hold on to things. You know, certain things mean stuff. It has a past. It has a meaning. In this case, yes, the Darksaber has always had that. Ever since the first Mandalorian Jedi, it has had that meaning.
A neat thing that Moff Gideon said was, Mandalorians are weak when you take away their trinkets.
Yes.
And that in itself was a very revealing statement, but Bo-Katan's reply
Yes.
to that was even more telling.
Yes. Which she said, Mandalorians are stronger together.
Yep. And right then, bam!
From there, Din Djarin obviously does whatever he needs to do and shoots him in the back. So now things are turning. And it's funny because up above, Woves still flying that cruiser down, blows out the window, and escapes.
And here comes my favorite scene, because you've got, you flash down to the platform that Din Djarin, Bo-Katan, and Moff Gideon are fighting on, right? And they hit an angle just right. They were coming up from the floor with all three of them in the frame.
Yes.
And all you see in the background is little smoke trails.
Oh,
and
yeah,
people
all over
are
the place.
flying all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
One of the most epic scenes in this entire series.
Yeah.
One of the most epic, with all, because you've got all the Mandalorians and the advanced troopers fighting in the background and everything.
Yes.
And the boss is going at it too. It was just so cool. And then here comes the ship.
Yep. Here comes
and you
the
see
ship.
all the Mandalorian flying out like gnats.
Mandalorians are flying to safety. They're doing what they need to do. Gideon is standing there. Kreese and Din Djarin and Grogu are basically in the line of fire. They're not going to get out.
Yeah.
And even Gideon is still doing what he needs to do. And what is he? If I remember correctly,
he got knocked down by a combination of Bo-Katan's and Din Djarin's gunfire.
Yes.
He dropped the staff. And by the way, kudos to the weapons person, because that freaking staff he had
looked amazing.
Was cool as hell.
Oh yeah.
I think it's badass. But he drops the staff, he gets knocked down, he drops the staff, and what does Grogu do? Push right up the edge.
Yep, just pushes it away over the edge. Boom. And that's when the ship completely crashes down, and you see Gideon standing there screaming as the inferno just engulfs him and starts heading towards the three of them. But Grogu, being the Jedi that he is,
right? Before you hit this part real quick, it's neat how the three of them come together.
Yes.
And it happens in almost a split second, because when Moff Gideon gets up, he starts firing at Din Djarin. He hits him like 3 times. Bo-Katan comes flying in from the side with the shield, blocking the further shots at Din Djarin, which probably would have finished him off. And then you see Grogu come in. So all of a sudden, all three of them are right there.
Yes.
And you see both of them kind of hunker over as the ship comes down and the fire comes up, and Moff Gideon goes,
he dies.
And then here's where you end, or where you stopped.
Yeah. Which, I was still explaining that. But the cool thing is Grogu uses the Force to form a bubble around the two of them, and the three of them, and protect them from the fire, from that inferno. And it's cool how Din Djarin just looks at Kreese, and Kreese kind of does I remember this. Like, it was that look that she remembers from working with the Jedi once before in the Clone Wars when she was younger. So, so there's a lot there that is very symbolic of not just the end of the Mandalorian Civil Wars, the return to Mandalore, and the coming together of the two clans to unite Mandalore. Whether you take the creed or not, it doesn't matter. The fact is, you're reuniting Mandalore. And that's when we get into the next scene of, with Gideon gone. Bear with me. With Gideon gone, they hold a ceremony at the Living Waters, and they have Ragnar, who is Paz Vizsla's son, taking the oath again, only this time in the Living Waters, and reciting the creed. This is the way. So right. Now, not only do you have that, but you have Grogu placed down by the water on the steps, looking down, and Din Djarin says that, with everything that he's done, he's no longer a foundling, but an apprentice. And asks the armorer to add him to the song. But Grogu, although can speak, which we know he can speak, he's too young to take the creed.
Yeah, he can't speak intelligently.
Yes.
I think the main thing, because we really haven't heard him speak.
Well, that's not true.
We've heard the coos and the caws and the laughs and we've heard the interest and all that stuff, but we haven't really heard him actually speak.
Well, but we have heard him say, "This is the way." It's very hard to make out, but he does say it. And even in this episode, when Din Djarin says, "You did good," or you did good, kid," he goes, "Thanks." So
right.
The words are there. Can he speak the creed? No, he can't.
Right.
So from there, Din Djarin says, "Well, what if his parents gave permission?" And she said that the odds of his parents being alive, you would have to really go out and find them.
Right.
And then he says, "Well, what if I adopt him as my own? I would like to adopt him to be my son." And the armorer accepts the adoption and says, "This is the way." They agree. And Grogu smiles at the armorer, and the armorer names him Din Grogu. So now he is part of Din Djarin's family.
Yeah, it's really cool to me how in that whole scene, in that entire interaction between the armorer and Din Djarin, they keep flashing back to Grogu. And you see Grogu's reactions change multiple times from when she says no, his head goes down, he's sad. And then Din Djarin will come back with an argument and his head pops up and he looks a little happier, and then he gets sad again, and then he gets happier again. And then I love how he does the Mandalorian nod.
Yes. He just nods.
He just the armor makes the decree, and he does the nod. And it is just so cool how socially adapted he is to everything.
Sure, absolutely.
That he's experienced as the episodes have gone on, and with everything. So it's just really cool. I sent you a picture. One of my favorite scenes.
Oh yes, with the fire coming at them. Western Echo says it's a good thing social services background checks on Mandalore are so relaxed.
Well, they haven't reopened that branch yet.
Yeah, it's still new. Still new.
Yeah, the government hasn't had a chance to reopen that branch of government yet. So.
Yeah. So from there, we see Grogu looking down in the water at the Living Waters, and we're going for a dive. We go all the way down into the Living Waters.
I thought Grogu was going to jump in the water, man.
I thought so too. I thought for sure, but then I'm like, nah. But
Grogu's going to swim in.
we see we get down to the bottom, and we see the mythosaur stir. His eyes open up, and he kind of just
grumbles
a little bit, bubbles coming out of the mouth and everything, and that leads into Bo-Katan and the armorer lighting the Great Forge.
That was cool.
the Mandalorians chanting for Mandalore. So they now have their planet back. They are now a complete culture that are reunited. They're not fighting. They see eye to eye. It doesn't matter if some people take their helmets off or not. They're Mandalorians again.
And that was the key thing, I think, of that final scene, was you didn't have helmets on, helmets off.
Yep.
They were all intermingled. I mean, I don't care how much you hate somebody, okay? When you go through combat and you fight side by side, I don't care how much you hate somebody, you will still stand by their side from that point on.
Sure.
And, you know, I thought that was, to me, that scene had a very, very deep meaning with them being all intermingled like that.
It was like full Mandalorian reuniting, and very symbolic of what should be happening in the world today that doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they were officially, at that point, had officially reoccupied their home planet.
We're home. We're home. What a wonderful treat. Lady Death says that the forge was awesome. Yes, it was.
It was. I mean, three. I thought there was just the one, but then they panned back, and there was three of them.
Yep. So they light the main forge, cool. and that lights the other two.
Mm-hmm. It was really cool. It was a cool scene. I loved how they at first, as we went into that scene, they had the tapestry there with the Mandalorian mythosaur symbol on it and everything. You know, it was cool. Just the way they worked this whole thing, as far as reoccupying and going through the ceremony and all of that, was really, really neat. It really was.
From there, we see Din Djarin and Grogu flying in the N1 starfighter. They get back. They get to a Delphi base, and they meet up with Carson Teva, who obviously, you know, offers to buy him a drink because he's like, so, thanks for that.
Made our life a lot easier.
And he's just like, well, I just got to him first. That was the greatest. Well, you know, he was going to be a thorn in our side no matter what. And I just got to him before you did. So, yeah hope
you would have got to him eventually. I just got there before you. That's all.
And while he says, hey, let me buy a drink, he's like, hey, I'm here on business, you know. And Grogu jumps up on a chair, and he looks up, and he sees an old IG series droid head. Mm-hmm. And Teva asks, well, what's he looking at? And he responds, well, it reminds him of somebody that he knew. And, you know, he tells Grogu that's not IG-11. And he goes from there, and he says, well, you know, since...
Got a deal for you.
Yeah, I got a little proposition, you know. And he goes, I'm not joining the New Republic, but I'm looking for work because I do have an apprentice now. I have to look out for him and so on and so forth. And he goes, so...
Are you telling me...
Tell me you want to be a part of
that
this.
You want to work for the New Republic?
And he said, no.
On a case-by-case basis.
Yes. Independent contractor, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah.
And he goes, you know, I'd be going up against regulations and it will not get approved. Then he goes, you don't have to tell the Republic. So he says to Teva, listen, let me think about it. And he goes, it's a good deal. Come on. Come on.
You already have.
Because he also mentions that the New Republic does not have the resources to go against all these Imperial upbringings that are going to be happening to try and get the Empire back. Because you got to remember, the Empire, didn't matter if you were Darth Vader or the Emperor. These governors or the Grand Moffs and all of them, they wanted power. They wanted control. So now Anybody who survived and is on the run and still has their fleet, that's what they're going to do. They're going to try and overthrow the Republic. And Din Djarin knows this. Moff Gideon is the prime example of that. That it's never going to stop. Let me handle some stuff. I'll help you.
Yeah.
He goes,
let me take the small stuff off your plate.
Yep.
Kind of.
But as an advance payment, I want that head. I need it for parts. And what he does is when he flies back to Navarro and he meets Grief Karga and tells, he tells Din Djarin, we appreciate what you've done for us, for getting rid of the pirates. Here's your new land.
Yep.
Here's the keys to your place. You have land. It's right on the outskirts of town. You can do what you need to do. You can come and go as you please. And he says, well, I got a gift for you. And he has a reprogrammed IG-11 unit that will serve as the new marshal for Navarro. So we see Taika Waititi reprises his role as IG-11, and here you go. I'm here to protect and serve. And we got
a nice paint job on him, the whole 9 yards.
He looks brand new.
Yes, looks sharp.
And what we see then is we see Din Djarin walking out of his house, Grogu by a pond, lifting a frog up in the air with the Force, and Din Djarin just sits down, puts his legs up. You see the N1 starfighter there, and it ends with a circle transition, closing up right on Grogu, drops the frog, and we cut to black, and we see the credits roll. Now,
he can finally kick his feet up and relax. All the things that he needed to do
for now,
the quest that he had to complete is now finished, and then some.
For now.
Right.
For now.
So he gets a chance to chill out.
Now, right now, I'm going to rate this episode because JT went last week. I'm rating it at a 4.9. Okay.
Okay.
But Lady Death has a question. So while she says that question, I also have a theory, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be true.
Okay.
No, you didn't miss who the spy was. We don't know who the other spy was.
No, they haven't revealed that.
They haven't revealed it. So here's my theory. We have not seen the last of Moff Gideon. Now you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, we just saw a ship crush him. We saw a ship
crush. He didn't get crushed. He got, if anything, he got burnt to a crisp.
Crushed, blown up.
Yeah, the only thing I can think that would save him was the suit of armor, but Kay put up forward a very good point.
Yes.
That's got to be 14,000 degrees of fire that engulfs him.
Yes.
Is that armor going to be able to stop that?
No. So, here is why we have not seen the last of Moff Gideon. That wasn't Moff Gideon. That was one of his clones. Here's why. If you go back and watch the entire episode and you're seeing the entire fight scene between him, Din Djarin, and Bo-Katan, there's a lot of mechanical whirring going around. As he walks, you hear it. That's number one. Number two, doesn't have a mustache. Number three, way too strong. Way too strong.
But don't forget the Mandalorian armor.
No. The Mandalorian armor does not give you super strength to pick somebody up and throw them across an entire platform. That's number one. Number two, it does not give you super strength to take the hilt of the Darksaber and break it in your hand. It is not the real Moff Gideon. It is one of his clones. Guarantee it. Because when he was captured, mustache. He had a mustache. This one didn't have a mustache. None of the clones had a mustache. None of them.
Right.
It was a clone. Guarantee
But it doesn't mean that he didn't, shave off the mustache after he was captured either.
It wasn't him. It wasn't him. I guarantee
We'll agree to disagree on that.
I guarantee it. It was not Moff Gideon. And here's the other reason why.
I could see it, but
yeah. Well, here's the other reason why. Refer back to last episode. All of this is leading up to Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
He's not dead. Moff Gideon's not dead. There's no way you're going to kill off somebody when you've got a whole nother season. I'm telling you, he's not dead. So, that's my theory. Am I right? We'll see. But
time will tell.
Time will tell. Time will tell. But we'll see. Western Echo says, maybe it was him, but he survives and they give him a giant black helmet. That could be a callback. It very well could be. Very well could be. He did have a jetpack on. He could have flown up with the fire. You don't see a body. Just saying.
Yeah. That's the tricky part. And obviously they did that on purpose.
Yes.
Be it because he survives or be it because they want the mystery to be out there or the Ahsoka series.
Yes, absolutely. So, episode right now, 4.9 for me. What do you give it, JT?
I'm right there with you. 4.9. I mean, it was great. The battle scenes were awesome. The closure of everything, seeing the two feuding factions of Mandalores, you could almost say the three because of the survivors, all coming together and fighting for one thing.
Yeah.
And everything. It was great. The battle scenes, the things that Grogu did that have showed just how advanced he really is.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And stuff like that. I mean, great episode through and through. No complaints about this episode at all.
It was wonderful, to be honest. It
yes,
really
it was.
was.
So 4.9 for me. What about you, Nikai? You haven't told us yours yet.
Yeah, you haven't told us what yours is.
Yes, you did. 5 helmets for the episode, and I'll hold off on her. Well, no, I'll go ahead and say it. Overall rating for the series, 5.5.
Western Echo says, I'm going to look up whether Giancarlo Esposito has any commitments for the next 2 years.
Well, in the article that I read when you and Kay were talking earlier, was saying it seems like they're timing everything out for about a year apart.
Yes.
With Mandalorian. So.
Yes. And that's a good thing.
Bastards.
Because that's what they're going
Bastards.
for. So overall, what do you rate the entire season compared to seasons 1, 2, and Book of Boba Fett?
Book of Boba Fett, I gave a 4.5. Mm-hmm. Season 1, I think I gave a 4. And season 2, I think I gave a 4.5. I'm at like a 4.975, man.
Wow.
I can't give it the full 5.
Going to 3 digits there. Going to 3 digits.
You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it a full 5.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a full 5 helmet rating on this. I mean,
now again, this is compared to the other seasons.
Right, compared to the other seasons, and as a standalone season by itself, would all get this rating for me
all
because, like I said, at the beginning of the show. They hit in episode 1 like a freaking dragster.
Yeah.
Doing 130 or doing 230. I mean, it was balls to the walls from the word go. Got a little bit of a break there in episode 5 where things slowed down just a little. And then they freaking punched the gas again and shot it right back off the freaking charts. It was amazing to me. Some of the best battle scenes that I have seen in Star Wars completely were in this series.
The actions were amazing, that's for sure.
And the things that we learned, and here was the coolest thing for me, was the things that the characters themselves within the show learned as the season went on. Biggest case in point, Bo-Katan Kryze.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Tom Cruise changed completely after she saw the mythosaur. She did not take that helmet off again until the armor told her to. And she even questioned the armor about taking it off.
Yeah, she was very good about it.
So, you know, that was one of the neat things for me, was to see Bo-Katan learn, was to see Grogu learn and grow and advance and show off some of what he knew.
Yep.
Because we've been saying all along, he knows more than he's showing.
Yes. And it's
famous line that Din Djarin said many times. I didn't teach him that.
Yeah. Western Echo says he's going to give the season a 4.7. It would have been a 4.8 if not for the two hippos episode. I know which one he's talking about. One with Lizzo and Jack Black. He did not like that episode, and that
was the slowdown episode.
Yeah, that was one of the slowdowns. You had the one on Coruscant, which was a slowdown, and then you also had this one. So, yeah, I myself am at a 4.9 when it comes to this season. By far better than the first two. Definitely better than Book of Boba Fett. You know, and we've stated our gripes with Book of Boba Fett, that it was really Mandalorian season 2.5.
Right.
But it worked. It did. It worked for the story. It worked for everything else.
It served its purpose.
Yeah, I do hope we see some more of Boba Fett in the future.
Right.
And more of a badass that we know that he is. But when it comes to the Mandalorian, I loved that they centered it on the Mandalorians. I don't care what anybody else says when it comes to this. That was the reason of this season, was to bring back more Mandalorians throughout the galaxy and bring them together and reclaim Mandalore. That was the story of the Mandalorian. Duh. Western Echo said, Fett or Mando, as long as Ming-Na Wen is in it. Yes, she's awesome. She is not only a Disney princess, she's also a Marvel character and Star Wars character. She's got the trifecta right there. And Lady Death says that's what she loved about it too, is that it was about the Mandalorians.
Yeah,
that is what
the
makes
little
sense.
sub-stories involved. You know, those were kind of things that had to be sprinkled in there in order to get all the elements together that they needed to get to for the end of episode 5 or 6, and then episode 7 and episode 8.
Yes. Here's why some stories work out in Star Wars. You don't always need a Jedi or a Sith.
Right.
You don't. Okay? If you take
and technically we kind of have a Jedi. Kind of,
but
with Grogu, you know.
But he's just a Padawan.
Right. That's why I say kind of.
He never made it to Jedi Knight status or Jedi Master status. He's still young.
Right.
Does he have the Force? Yes. Is he Force sensitive? Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Is he can wield it strong with the Force? Probably.
Very.
Is Din Djarin going to teach him? You bet your ass he is. Is he going to teach him the ways of the Jedi? No, but he's going to be able to tell him, no, you can use those skills to your advantage in battle.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because that's what he's going to do. He's going to teach him the way of the Mandalore. You know? And that's the thing. It's Force sensitive. He's Force sensitive. Okay? He can
extremely Force sensitive.
He's already got the teachings. He's been in the Jedi Temple for probably decades. But he's still a youngling. He's still a Padawan.
Echo says, I like that. Force sensitive.
But that's what they are. They're Force sensitive. And don't get me wrong, I loved Obi-Wan Kenobi. I did. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
But you don't always need to have the story centered around a lightsaber wielding Jedi.
Yeah. And that's the thing that people have problems with. When they hear Star Wars, that's what they think of. lightsabers.
I'm trying to find it, but yeah, we got time. We got time. There was a video, and this was big. One of the things that has always been a gripe with me, I'm sure Echo has dealt with this, I know you've seen it, was some, not all, Star Wars fans. They're the worst. They're the worst. And he went on a podcast, and he makes a really good point on this podcast. So what happened was, let me pull this up here, because this way I can at least show what I'm talking about. So they brought up how the fans are with Star Wars. And Western Echo already knows what I'm going to mention. And let me tell you, I will back Freddie Prinze Jr. up on this hands down 100%. Because if you are doing a character for Star Wars, it doesn't matter who you are going to learn about Star Wars. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to learn about it. You're going to learn about Star Wars. Okay? Let me do this and let me hit play. It's only about 3 minutes long. And I know there are reaction videos to it. There's a lot of hate going around on it. And this is, years ago. Now, mind you, Freddie Prinze Jr. was in Star Wars. He played Kanan in Star Wars Rebels. He did the voice of Kanan. He is a survivor of Order 66. Okay? Check this out. You're going to love this. You're gonna love this.
I did a Star Wars cartoon, so even I get hate from Star Wars fans when I'm like, look, dog, you're just mad the franchise isn't aging with you.
Right.
But that ain't how it works. The first one was for fucking kids.
Right. Yep.
The second 3 were for different fucking kids. And this one is for kids. You just pissed off that Han Solo gave the fucking Millennium Falcon to a girl.
Yeah.
That's it. Because look.
I am not pissed off about that.
Me either. Because the girl he gave it to was badass.
We are not pissed off about that. Simple as that. We're not pissed off about that. Okay?
Not at all.
This is why I said you would love this. Oh, it's wonderful. Oh, wrong one. Wrong one. Nope, wrong one. I hit the wrong button. There it is. There it is. Wow. There's some screw ups for you.
Luke Skywalker's Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
Okay, he can talk to things that don't speak English and understands what they're fucking saying.
Yeah.
He gets a fairy godfather instead of a fairy godmother who teaches him how to be the best Jedi in the world in no time fucking flat. And everybody, I know more about the Force than most people because Dave Filoni taught me and George Lucas taught him. And all these.
Did you hear that? Dave Filoni taught him.
And George taught Dave.
And George taught Dave.
Video games have fucked people up on what the Force is. Like, Luke's skill doesn't dictate whether he wins or loses.
Right.
The Emperor doesn't dictate whether he wins or loses. The Force dictates who wins or loses based on balance. And here's the quick version on how to explain it to all these people who fucking think they get to decide. In the first
And by the way, I love this. I love how he says this, because whether you agree with this guy or not, I will be the first one to tell you that if you don't understand this, you're the problem. And Western Echo just said, I often forget what a giant nerd Freddie Prinze Jr. is. I love it. Hey, listen, think about it. It's Star Wars. You need to know about the characters that you're talking about.
Right.
Let's go on.
First, fuck, if you want to do this like time-wise, Palpatine, you would say, and Yoda are the smartest too. Palpatine clearly smarter because Yoda was blind to the power of the dark side and the seduction of Anakin. So let's talk about the seduction of Anakin fucking Skywalker for a second. If the Emperor is the smartest dude in the universe and knows that the Force dictates this, if he kills who he sees as a rival, Anakin, then he knows the Force is just going to fucking correct that because the Emperor knows this. These are George Lucas's words, not mine. So fuck you if you disagree with me.
I mean, you can't get any more accurate than right from the mouth of the creator of Star Wars that passed it down to Dave Filoni, that passed it down to all the actors who have ever been in Star Wars. It makes
Kind of hard to argue with.
perfect sense. Let's finish up.
Straight up, this is information, not affirmation time. Straight up, man. So the Emperor knows that. So instead of killing Anakin, what does he do? He seduces Anakin to double the strength of the dark side. So then what does the Force do?
Balance.
It balances us. How? It gives us twins, Luke and Leia. 2 and fucking 2. Balance. And if you look at the movie through just that simple perspective, you will not only know why every single bad guy loses and every single good guy loses, you'll know who's going to win and lose in the next fucking movies. I can tell you, I just don't want to wreck it. People bitch about the dumbest shit like it's archetype characters. This is George Lucas's words. There is no Jack Bauer in Star Wars. That character doesn't exist. It's not Han Solo. Han Solo's a reluctant hero, okay? He's a reluctant hero. That's the archetype. Darth Maul, who everybody wants to win, and he's everyone's favorite because he looks sick and he's great in the video games.
Does look cool.
Right?
Fuck you guys. He's Sisyphus. He is born to fail. Learn your Greek mythology like, I don't know, George fucking Lucas did. He's...
You can't argue with this. And the sad part is, and forgive me for not mentioning the podcast. I do apologize for this because if they ever hear it and they go, hey, they stole our stuff. No, we're reacting to this because spot on. A real Star Wars fan would know this stuff and not bitch and complain about who's doing what. Let's go on.
Cursed to roll a boulder up the hill only to have it roll to the bottom again every single time for eternity.
Yes.
That is Darth Maul's quest.
Yes.
He's in on the joke, you guys. He knows it. He's just cursed to live that life. Again, not my opinion, George Lucas's. So go fuck yourself if you disagree. You don't get to level up in the Star Wars world. That's a fucking video game. There's no such thing as a gray Jedi. Qui-Gon even says, I turn towards the light because it's there. There's no gray. That's pretend fan fiction shit, which is cool, but don't try to canonize it because it doesn't work. And I'm never going to buy it ever. Star Wars is for fucking kids. Sorry. I'm sorry.
He's not wrong.
Not wrong.
He's not
And nothing to be
wrong.
sorry about.
He's not wrong. And like I said, I wish I knew the name of the podcast, so I do apologize for not giving credit where credit's due, but I will give the credit. Listen, we know it was a podcast. I do apologize. But he was spot on with that. Because think about it, when they found out that Freddie Prinze Jr. was doing a voice, they went, oh, he's doing a voice? Well, it's not Mark Hamill. And don't get me wrong, I love Mark Hamill. That neither here nor there. Okay. The fact is the fans that are in an uproar, especially about The Mandalorian, that were bashing it because it was, about Mandalorians, you don't get it. You don't get it. That's the sad part, is these fans just don't get it.
Right.
They want it to be a
just don't
certain way.
understand.
Well, that's the thing. They want it to be about a certain way, and it doesn't work that way. Sorry, guys. If you can't understand it, stop watching. Leave it more for us who love this stuff.
Either stop watching or keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. You know that.
One of the two. Well, the stop watching is not going to happen either. So
Also true. So in the long run, this was one of the best seasons of The Mandalorian that we've had so far. We've only had 3, plus Book of Boba Fett, which is 2.5.
but dude,
But it's amazing.
I mean,
absolutely amazing.
think about the standard
They just raised the bar.
that they set, not only for Mandalorian season 4, 5, and 6, but for anything that comes out after this.
Which
And
right now they
but Ahsoka, we can give a little bit of a pass to because it's coming out so closely related.
Yeah.
But like you said, they didn't just raise the bar.
They did. They raised the bar.
They didn't just raise the bar. They put the bar on a whole new freaking platform.
Sure.
Especially for Mandalorian, specifically for Mandalorian.
And
they took the bar from here and they put it on a platform two levels higher.
And Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are geeks like us.
And they did a great job with this season.
So,
they really, really did.
Good job on season 3 to everybody involved.
Loved it.
This was the last episode of 2 Ewoks in the Park for The Mandalorian. We'll be back when it comes down for Ahsoka. And Avenger Pretenders will be coming back for Loki season 2. So you might want to keep an eye out. Hopefully they don't intertwine and cross over because that's just going to suck.
We'll be back. We just don't know when yet.
Yes. So a little bit of break. I may do some gameplay streams on Monday nights. I don't know yet.
I saw you did one the other night.
I did, and it was wonderful. Zombies, yay! So, with that being said, for JT and myself, I want to say thank you for tuning in to Avenger Pretenders and to Ewoks in the Park every Monday between 8 and 9 p.m. We went a little over because this was the last episode, so I do apologize. We will be live tomorrow for the Sully Show at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so make sure you check us out. The phone lines will be open. We've got a full prep sheet ready to go and ready to rock and roll. So, for JT and myself, thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you next time on 2 Ewoks in the Park, Episode 1, Season 1 of Ahsoka. Have a great night, everybody. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Tschüss, auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen. What? Can you hear the cat purring through the microphone?